Anaheim thing there.
I know. I was going for Obi-Wan. Hello there.
Hello there.
We're good. I like it. Let's start this off. How's Liverpool been for you?
Don't talk about Obi-Wan to me. That's not... Don't do that.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Well, I apologize for him. No, what's up? What's up? How's Liverpool? Liverpool's great. It's great. Yeah. Nirvana started here. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, or some band.
Just
It's Nirvana, right?
Yeah. I think so. Is that right?
It was Creed. It was Creed. They started here, right?
They got just off just a little bit.
Yeah.
Kicked off.
Some famous band.
Yeah, they walked across a zebra crossing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been good. What's the best cosplay you've seen?
So much good stuff. Some people have been dressing as Deacon St. John, which has been really fun.
Oh.
But I'm gonna have to say that possibly, one of the best pieces of cosplay that I saw was Ninja Turtles guy right here. Fuck
yeah.
Then he's got some crank stuff going on.
We've been fanning out over Craig.
Brain sitting in you. You don't think I know what you're up to. You're an alien, man.
I love the way the Grogu's goes on seat.
That's adorable. That's really cool. I like that. That's cool. I'm glad that he showed up.
It's always good that he shows up.
Yeah, it is.
I've been trying to get him for years.
I know. He's starting to understand he's a star, and it's getting to his head, Yeah.
Massive Star Wars fan? Massive Star Wars fan. What does it mean to you to be a part of the Star Wars universe?
It's insane. When my first Star Wars job was Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and when that happened, it was insane because I thought, oh my God, I get to be in a Star Wars thing, and this is probably going to be it. So I better enjoy this, right? Because what happened was this: there was a concept artist named Amy Beth Christensen who designed these characters. She was designing all these different concepts, and then finally Lucasfilm settled on, here are the characters for what was called Star Wars 07. It would later become The Force Unleashed, right? And my buddy David Collins, who was the lead sound on Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, he saw this concept for Star Killer, kind of a shaved head, kind of a, beat up looking kid. And he's like, oh my God, that looks like my friend Sam. So he calls me up, and I'm in my brother's rehearsal dinner. He's like, can you talk? I'm like, I really can't. He's like, you really can. I'm like, oh. It's like, hello, what's going on? I walked into the stairwell. And he goes, so Darth Vader has a secret apprentice. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, forget I said that. Just send me your headshot and your resume. I'm like, why? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, what? And then he's like, it's weird. The character looks like you. Click. And I'm like, what's going on? So then later I got an audition because he slipped my headshot in the pile. My friend backing me up, right? And because he did that, for 15 years I have been working on Star Wars, and often with him, as he has continued to work on Star Wars as well. And so many people, Amy Beth Christensen, that artist who created all those characters, who, when she met us all, she was like, but I dreamed you. You're real. And so she has been designing Star Wars stuff ever since Clone Wars and Rebels, and then the Star Wars TV shows and movies, all this stuff. And so we've all been working together ever since. In fact, Amy did the album artwork on here. And Matt Wood helped. General Grievous helped on this. So it's all like everything is Star Wars for me. Everything. All because my buddy David Collins cheated and slipped my headshot into the pile.
We all need friends like that, don't we? Are we big Star Wars fans in the house? Excellent. Well, what we are going to do is we are going to open up the panel to each and every one of you. If you want to post up, I love the way they look. It's like rocket fuel, straight out of the Millennium Falcon. Boom! Yes. Please feel free, guys. We have got microphones on sections 1 and 2. Don't worry, I'm coming to you. Yes, you've got my eye. Please feel free. If you want to ask Sam a question, bring yourselves down onto our steps. We've got 1 and 2, and anybody else that just wants to just throw your hand up, I can always get to you. But shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do
this. Hi. What's your name?
I'm James, and so I love you as Maul, love you as Starkiller, but I especially love you when you get to fill in for Palpatine, Darth Sidious, which you of course did in Force Unleashed as well, and season 2 of Rebels. I was wondering what was it like for you when in the final season of Rebels and now Tales of the Jedi, where they've give you the chance to just basically lay back and relax and just get Ian McDermott back in the role.
It's his role, you know what I mean? Like, and it always has been his role. And Palpatine is like one of my favorite characters ever. He's so good. So for my, doing Maul or Starkiller or any of the other characters is different than doing Palpatine. Palpatine is all about what would Ian do. So I don't feel the liberty to take it and run with it because it's his character, right? So I just try to learn what he's doing. When it comes to Maul, like, okay, what do I want to do with it? Or Starkiller can do whatever I want. But Palpatine is interesting because my Palpatine, it happened because we were doing Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and we were getting Jimmy Smits to play Bail Organa. And so I said to the director, I'm like, are we getting Ian McDermott to play the Emperor? And he's like, yeah, no. I'm like, well, listen, I think you have some good sound-alikes that sound like Palpatine, but I don't know that they understand the character. And he's like, what is he getting at? And I'm like, so I think I should do it. And at that point, the game lead is like, oh no, he's having an ego meltdown. He's the star of the thing, and we've already scanned him in, and he is the character. Oh no, the investment is going down, and he's lost his mind already. But I was like, no, I can do it. And then I started doing it around them, and they were like, In fact, I was thrown into the deep end because we were having a read-through. And David Collins says, Sam, when the read-through happens, don't do Sidious, don't do Palpatine. Because what we're going to do, we'll record you, and then I'll pitch you down a little bit. That's how we're going to get it. That's how we're going to get you this role. And then during the read-through, Palpatine comes up, and Hayden Blackman, the lead, goes, oh, you want to do Palpatine, Sam? Go ahead. And I'm like, and I look at David, and he's like, sorry. Because I hadn't prepared it. And I think I got the role when I finally had Palpatine. He had this monologue at the end where he has all of his enemies arrayed out in front of him, and he goes, you are all traitors to the Empire. You will be interrogated, tortured. You will give me the names of your friends and your allies. And then you will die. And I got a laugh when I said that, and they were like, okay, maybe you'll be Palpatine in The Force Unleashed. If you hear my work in Force Unleashed, it's not where it is now. I've worked on it a lot since then. I'm better at it now. In fact, what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to nail Return of the Jedi Palpatine, because my Palpatine has always been a combination of prequel Palpatine and original trilogy. With every single Jedi is now an enemy of the Republic. So there's that. That's Palpatine prequel. But now I'm trying to work on, you have done well, Darth Vader. And now I sense you wish to continue your search for young Skywalker. Which is different, it's up here. So... it's a little bit more staccato, it's a little bit higher, Patience, my friend. In time he will seek you out, and when he does, you must bring him before me, so...
Goosebumps right now about anybody else? Yes, beautiful. Round of applause for our questions as they come in. We're going to head over to one. How are you? Give us your name and your question, please, good sir.
Hi, I'm Shay. So I have a question about The Force Unleashed. Do you think Starkiller really beat Vader in both them games, or did he sort of let him win to...
So, that was a question we were going to answer in Force Unleashed 3. And we had a really interesting answer to that question. I wonder if I shouldn't give it away or not. I don't know if I should. I will say that it is possible that Vader is a sneaky bastard. It's possible. He's also a stand-up guy. He's a great guy. You should, have a Guinness with him. He's great.
Thank you for your question. Round of applause, please. We love these. Bring it up down. Bring it up. Ask some questions, guy. I just saw you out the corner of my eye. I was expecting questions. Hi. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Tyler. I was just... I've got a question for Sam. Well, my question is, when you were playing Deacon St. John, what was that like, being offered the role to play him? And if there was a Days Gone 2, would you be up for another shot at it?
Deacon was great. Deacon was a lot of fun. I really liked working with John Garvin, and we shot that for 4 years. We were shooting on these stages, not for an entire 4 years straight, but we'd shoot for a few weeks and go away for a couple months and shoot for a few weeks. And I really became quite attached to those people, to John Garvin and Courtney Draper and Jim Peary as Boozer. But I do remember that John Garvin, when we were first trying to find the character, which was a very upsetting process because I just couldn't get it. And I was doing, like, I kind of was doing Deacon a little bit like Harrison Ford, you know, and sometimes like older Harrison Ford. You know, I was doing all these things. And he's like, why do you sound like John Wayne? Stop it. I'm like, it's not John Wayne, it's Harrison Ford. Shut up. But eventually I realized, I'm like, well, wait a second. John Garvin is from the area of Oregon that Deacon has spent most of his life. So let's take John Garvin's dialect and then give it a little bit of a southern twang, like he has some southern ancestry. And once I started hitting on that, he's like, yeah, there it is. I'm like, cool, I'm just doing you, man. John Garvin is kind of like, you know, kind of talks like this, and you take that and make it a little bit more southern, and suddenly you got Deacon St. John, you know, hey, Boozer, we got to do this, we got to go do that. O'Brien, God darn it, you know, that whole thing. But it was wonderful, and I would love to do it again. We recently learned we financially justified a sequel. Financially, we have made the company a lot of money. So I honestly think it's like, you know, decisions like that can be swayed by the voices of the fans at that point. Because we assumed we didn't make the money. We're like, well, if we're not doing the sequel, we must not have made the money. And then we found out we did. Like, oh, well then this is not totally insurmountable. This can be fixed. Anyway, love Days Gone. Love that.
Love it. I love the question. Well done. A massive round of applause, please. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but couldn't we just listen to Sam revisit all these characters all day? I'm sure we could. Let's bring on, I'm going to shoot from side to side. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, name's Adam. It was mainly a question I had for Callisto Protocol. Did you enjoy the more personal capture or motion capture for it, and what did you find difficult?
Callisto Protocol was a little bit easier to find the character because the guy that was directing us was, he did editorial on Days Gone. So he had already seen like every piece of footage I ever shot for Days Gone. And we shot, in terms of finished material, we shot over 5 hours of material for Days Gone. So that's uncounted hours of footage. And so he said to me, he said, well, let's start with Deacon, but then really bring out the sadistic sides of Deacon. Because this will be, instead of the hero of the game, he's quite perhaps the opposite. So he's like, let's start with the Deacon character and twist him off into this weird direction. So the good news was finding that character was a lot easier because you're like, well, I want to start with Deacon and then we'll make him more of a jerk. So, but I've played it, it's, spooky and scary and violent. Do not let your kids see it. Don't do it. So.
Thank you.
Lovely question. Loving all these questions. Round of applause, please. I say share the love amongst yourselves. We are one big community, all together. Over to one side. Hi, what's your name?
Hello, I'm David. With the likes of Starkiller and then Palpatine, and then later on in Season 5 with more on Palpatine, what's it like when you're working against yourself?
Well, it's interesting because it's not often that you get to work with your favorite actor, you know? It's nerve-wracking. And I think I got his autograph. It's fun, because you gotta know what you're doing. You know what you're gonna do, and you kind of know what the other guy's gonna do because he's you, and you know, it was cool. But you know, the thing is, Clone Wars was Ian Abercrombie. That wasn't me in Clone Wars. I'm happy to take the credit for it, but it wasn't him. It wasn't me. So yeah, it was basically, in Clone Wars, the two main characters that I did were the son of Mortis and Darth Maul. And all of these characters, there's like sort of a line of succession. Starkiller led to Dave hiring me for the son of Mortis. And the son of Mortis was supposed to be the dark side of the Force. And there were times where I dipped into an area that convinced him that I should play Darth Maul. And so I guess George and him decided to let me do that. And yeah, so that's how that happened. So.
Thank you.
Love it. There you go, David. Perfect. Definitely take credit for it. Especially if they pay him. Go for it.
I'll take it.
Slide it on. Hi.
Hi, my name's Tommy. My question's about the future of Maul and Starkiller. I mean, obviously, between Episode 1 and End of Rebels, we've seen a lot of Maul's life, a lot of what happened.
But there's also a lot of holes in his life, yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you think how much Maul will return in the future, and if Starkiller will ever return.
So with Maul, I've learned to never say never, because every time I thought that was the last time I played that character, I was playing him again before long. So I have the suspicion that at some point they're going to use him again, just because they seem to like him. Starkiller is tricky because there was a whole thing. It's a very long story. I'm not going to get into the long story, but there was a whole sort of deal at Lucasfilm where they were shying away from acknowledging the character for a while. And I have now been informed by Lucasfilm that those days are done, that those days are over, and that they have told me that they are very aware of how popular that character still is. And then we renewed the likeness rights. So I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. So if you were to ask me 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I'd be like, no, we're never going to see him again. But then Luke Skywalker showed up killing Dark Troopers on Mandalorian, and I'm like, oh, anything can happen in Star Wars. And then they called me up going, how do you feel about Starkiller? I'm like, you guys are weird. So anything is possible at this point. This point, I'm like, I'm not the one to ask about this. In fact, I used to go to these cons, right? And people would be like, do you think that, like, you might ever voice Maul in a movie? And I'm like, this is not how it works, guys. You don't understand the business. You don't get it. And then I get a call, like, 4 months later. Hey, you want to voice Maul in a movie? I'm like, so the fans, you guys know before we do. You get this notion of, wouldn't it be cool if? And we're like, sure. Yeah, but what if Luke Skywalker showed up? Yeah, how would we do that? And then Luke Skywalker shows up. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. So you guys are smarter than us, is what I'm saying.
It's the Force. That's what it is.
Force. You know.
Well done, Tommy. Excellent round of applause. Hello, good sir.
Hi there, my name's Jordan. I just want to know what your favourite scene to film was in Being Human and why.
Favorite scene in Being Human? You know what's funny is I'm so bad at favorites, but in the case of Being Human, when you said that, one scene jumped to mind, and that was where it's a scene, okay, the show, as you probably know, is about a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost who live together in an apartment and try to teach each other how to be people, how to be human. And so the ghost could possess people. And there was this whole situation where my character was trying to buy time for his friends to escape a bad situation. And so he gets into this brawl with these werewolves, or people who were about to turn into werewolves. So they were very strong at that point. And because it was our last season, there was a real feeling of, yeah, Aiden could die here. So Aiden is fighting these werewolves, he's getting the crap kicked out of him, and the ghost lady, who secretly loves him, is watching this happen helpless, because she's a ghost. She can't do anything. She's just watching him get the crap beaten out of him. And she can't do anything. But she might be able to do something, because she's learned how to possess people, but the more she does that, the more she hurts herself. She can damage herself and kill herself by doing that. Anyway, so it becomes this thing where she jumps into one of the werewolves before they're about to stake me and like hands me the stake. I'm like, oh, great. And then the fight starts up again. And it goes from a brutal beatdown to kind of an Indiana Jones fight where it's like musical chairs. Like she jumps into a werewolf. I punch the werewolf. She falls out of the werewolf, jumps into another werewolf. I punch that guy and she jumps in. So she just keeps jumping into other dudes and I'm punching them out. And finally at the end, there's only one werewolf, this big black guy. You know, way bigger than me. And I'm about to take him out, because I'm like, I can take one guy, no problem. And she jumps into him. And I'm like, whoa. every time you jump into a werewolf, this hurts you. You could kill your, what are you doing? She's like, no. This isn't for you, this is for me. So the black guy comes and grabs me, and we make out. It was epic. It was the one time that our Quebecois crew in Montreal couldn't keep it together. Because they were like, no matter how much funny stuff we were doing on camera, they'd be like, they'd just be silent. And they were funny people, but they would just keep it together. Not this time. Because there was this shot. The big guy comes and grabs me, and we're making out. And the shot is, the camera comes around us. And as it passes behind my head, it's Sally, the ghost, and I'm kissing Sally, and then it comes around again, and it's the black guy again, right? And then you come around, and it's Sally. So as they were coming around me, and I'm making out with this guy, they were just like, and I'm trying to make this beautiful moment, and they were just laughing, and it was hilarious. I thought it was great.
Love it. Love the question. That sounds like an epic Saturday night. Perfect. Are you enjoying these questions? You're all good. Eye-opening. Beautiful. Number 2. Hello. What's your name?
Hi there, well, that's loud. Sorry, everyone.
It's the microphone tense.
Yeah, I didn't think of it. My bad. My question's on Battlestar Galactica. Were you a fan of the original, and how did you get the role exactly? Like, was there,
Yeah. Felgercarb, bro. I mean, frack. And, yeah, man, I watched the Pogies out of that show, the original Battlestar Galactica. I see that you guys are on fence. Come on, Pogies, Felgercarb, no one? Frack, you guys get that one because there you go. But yeah, Dirk Benedict and Richard Hatch and all those guys and Lorne Green. Hello, I'm Lorne Green, and this is the next exciting episode of Battlestar Galactica, And also, wait, who played Baltar? Well, I know his name. He was Kor on Star Trek. John Colicos, the first Klingon on Star Trek. I am Captain Kor, the Klingon Empire. So cool. That guy's so cool. Anyway, huge fan of the original series. So naturally, Ron Moore, whose work I already loved from Star Trek, was doing a remake of Battlestar Galactica. I'm like, I've got to see this. So then I watched the miniseries, and it was incredible. And so I called my agent. I'm like, listen, and I'm like a young actor. I barely worked in Hollywood. And I'm like, listen, you got to get me on Battlestar Galactica. She's like, that was canceled in like 1979, right? I'm like, no, they did a remake. It's really great. Edward James Olmos and Mary McDonnell, and everyone's so fantastic. And I thought it would just be like a guest star. And then they came back with a series regular role, which I guess I was the only one who was pronouncing the planets right in the audition. They're like, hey, I know you had to leave your ace, your what is it? What was Hilo's position on the Raptor? ECO. You had to leave your ECO back on Caprica. And they were dealing with a bunch of actors going, I know you had to leave your ECO back in Caprica. So I think that's why I got the role. And it was not a great fit because there wasn't really room for me on the cast because they already established like 12 amazing characters on the miniseries. So they didn't get to use me as much as they told me they would. But then, because I was like, well, guys, if you're not going to use me, like, kill me off, and then you can take the money you would have paid me and buy an extra explosion, man. Come on. And they said, well, if we kill you off, we'll give you a really cool death. And then to my amazement, they did that. Because usually in Hollywood, they say, oh yeah, we're going to give you a really cool death, or we'll do this, we'll do that, and they're not going to do any of that. They don't care. These guys cared. These guys were like, nah, we had you here, we thought we could use you, but there wasn't time enough in these episodes, so we're going to make sure we write 3 cool episodes for you, and they did. And so I got to contribute to this show that I was a huge fan of, and make a whole bunch of friends on that show, learn things about acting from people like Aaron Douglas that were really useful to me, because he was just the ad-lib king. I mean, dude, that show, we were all ad-libbing because of Aaron Douglas, because he just made up lines. And the producers liked it. They were like, say one is written and then say whatever you want. It's an insane way to run a show. But it worked for Battlestar because those actors were that good. James Callis would, in the middle of a take, break off into a direction where he's stammering out all these lines, and you're like, this is astonishing. He didn't do this last take. What is he doing? This is awesome. And they would use these moments. In fact, one of the early moments for me where we find water, that was all ad-libbed with me going, it's down, Galactica, it's time to break out the swim trunks because we found water. And I was all this, it was supposed to be very professional. We found water, but I was like, and they used it, It's great experience for that reason. And Ron Moore has become a friend, and I'm a huge fan of For All Mankind because it's all the same directors and producers, same director of photography, same writers of Battlestar. So.
Brilliant. I'm loving these questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. So varied, so in-depth, so beautiful. That's what we like from our fans. Hi, we're going to come over to number one. Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew, hi.
What's your favourite store you haven't been in?
Favorite what that I haven't been?
Star Wars.
Star Wars that I haven't been in. Episode 4. I wasn't in that one.
No, TV show.
Was it?
TV show.
I'm sorry.
I didn't pick that up, sorry.
Series.
Oh, Star Wars series.
Oh, Star Wars.
All of them. I mean, here's the thing. I've worked on all of them so far in little ways, and sometimes in big ways, but behind the scenes that we don't talk about, or we won't talk about for a while. But so I'm kind of always there. I see these things before. He can see things before they happen. That's why he appears to have such quick reflexes. It's a Jedi trait. So I get to see this stuff before it comes out. It's neat. I like it. But yeah, I mean, look, if they need me, they've long since learned that all they have to do is go, hey, Sam, want to do this? I'm like, sure. So, yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I love all this new content that's coming out. It's so much fun.
I think we all do. We all love all this Star Wars stuff that's coming out, don't we? All new stuff. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Brilliant. Shooting over to Stu. Hi.
Hi, my name's Helen. I was going to ask if you think there's going to be another game for Days Gone, but you basically said it. So what do you think of the ending?
The ending of Days Gone. Oh, that O'Brien son of a... Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I rather liked the entire shape of the plot. And I liked the fact that the game was slow burn. It's kind of like Andor, right? You could say, because there are a lot of people who are like, oh, yeah, but it's just so slow. You're like, you really